Hello and welcome to day 2 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 Halloween themed papercraft projects to make with a Cricut machine in 20 days. Today's project is this fun slot together 3-dimensional cauldron design. It's cut from different pieces of cardstock that all get slotted together to make the final product. And it's got some lovely little flames along the bottom to make it look like you're bubbling up a potion inside. This can be used as a little treat box. You can see I put some biscuits in there, or you could add some lights inside instead to give it an eerie glow out of the top. But before you can do anything, you'll need to get the file to make this 3D cauldron. Here's how to find it. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC24. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC24 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Halloween Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. The download comes in a zip folder. You will need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. This is what the cauldron design looks like when it's loaded into Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to get to this step, then visit the schedule page for the Halloween Craft Countdown and look in the Foundation Learning section near the top of the page. Within there are a series of tutorials to help you do things that might be needed during the countdown. If you're new to using your Cricut machine, this is a great place to start if you've got any questions. The first link in there is on how to upload SVGs into Cricut Design Space. So if you've downloaded this file and you're not sure how to get it into the software, check out that tutorial and it will show you how to do it step by step. The design should load in at 14 by 14 inches. You can see when I've clicked mine, it says 14 by 14 up here. It's gone slightly under on the width and height box at the top. I'm not sure why Design Space keeps doing this. I have sized the file to 14 by 14 exactly, but it's taken off 0.001 of an inch from the width. That's completely fine. That is such a teeny tiny number. You're not going to notice that at all. But if you did want to make it completely even, then you can resize it by clicking on the padlock icon to unlock it. And then you could type 14 in there and put it to exactly 14 by 14. But as I said, that tiny, tiny, tiny little difference, you are not going to notice. The lovely thing about this file is there's nothing to change in Cricut Design Space. You can just go straight ahead and click Make. Really easy. Here are all the pieces, and you can change the paper size in the drop downs here. And then if you want to, you can click and drag to move things about. You will need to change the paper size for all of the different colours if you want to use a different size other than 12 by 12. And again, you can move things around if you want to. Just make sure that nothing overlaps when you're moving it, otherwise it won't cut out properly. If you want to make the cauldron bigger or smaller, then you can do that. And the easiest way to check the current size is to click on the whole design and ungroup the layers by pressing the ungroup layer at the top. Scroll down to the bottom until you find the structure pieces and click one of those. So I've got this one selected up here. The width and height of this is roughly the size that your cauldron will end up. So we've got this one and it loads in by default. It will be about 4.288 inches wide and just over 3.5 inches tall. That's a really nice size to add some little lights inside for a glow, or to put some treats or biscuits or sweets inside. If you do want to make it bigger, the easiest way to do that is to select everything and group it again if you've already ungrouped it, so that we can change everything in proportion. And then go into Shapes and choose a square. I'll change the colour just so you can see it easier. And then I'm going to make that roughly the size of one of those bits of the cauldron. And then to resize it, choose what size you want to make it. For example, maybe we want to do a bigger one that's 6 inches wide. And then we can send this to the back by going Arrange, Send to Back so that the cauldron appears on top. Zoom out a little bit to make it easier. And then drag the whole thing and keep going until one of the side pieces, the structure pieces of the cauldron, matches whatever size you've made that rectangle. So that is a pretty almost fit. Then you can delete the rectangle by clicking it in the Layers panel and pressing the Delete key on your keyboard, or click the trash can icon up there. And now you know that everything has resized in proportion, so if you did want to cut it out at a different size, you can do that and it will still all go together beautifully. However, I'm going to cut it at the size it loads in at, so I'll go ahead, get all my pieces cut out, and then we'll see how to put together the Slot Together 3D cauldron. I've now got all the pieces of my cauldron cut out, so it's time to start putting everything together. I've already glued together 5 of the little bits of fire that go around the edge, and then I've got one left to show you how to do it. There are 3 different fire designs in total, and each one has the flames slightly different, so just make sure when you're sticking them that you put the right ones in the right place. It's probably going to be easiest to look at the screen in Design Space to see which ones go with which shape. If you do get it the wrong way around, it doesn't really matter too much, it just might mean that the cutouts don't show the colours through just as nicely as they could. So this is what one looks like, where it's all kind of got the 3 bits and it sort of builds up. So you've got the darker red on top, then the lighter red, which makes a nice border around the edge, and then the yellow. So you can probably actually just line it up using those borders as a guide as well. And you'll know that if you don't have that nice consistent border, then you've not put the right one on the right bit. And it would definitely be easier to lay everything out in the correct order before you start gluing, just in case you need to move anything around. Alright, so let's do the one final one. Very simple, we're just gluing the colours one on top of the other. The yellow goes at the bottom, then there's the lighter of the reds. I'll turn this upside down and I'll add my glue to the back. And then use the bottom of the flame to line it up, and it will sort of sit in the middle, so there'll be a border of that yellow around the edge once it's glued. But the very bottom lines up entirely, so you can't see any of that yellow along the bottom. And then the same thing for the darker red on top. And that's how it looks. Okay, so I'm going to leave all of those to one side and then start putting the cauldron together. Take your 3 structure pieces of the cauldron, and you need to make sure you have them in this specific order. And I might need to zoom out with my camera a little bit so you can see them all. There we go. Alright, so the one that we'll be using first is the one that has the slit in the top section of the cauldron base. If I just show you a little bit closer, this is the one that's got the slit coming down from here. So that shows it nicely. The next one, the middle one, is the one that has one in the top and one in the bottom. This is the one we'll be doing second. And then the third and final one has the slit in the very bottom. Okay, so that's those 3 in order. Just put them out one more time. Trying to get them all in the shot. There we go. So 1, 2, 3. Take piece 1 and 2. And then for piece 2, we're going to slot the bottom of those cutouts over the one in the first one until it reaches the bottom. So you end up with a little cross shape. Hold them flat against each other and then put on the third one. So this is going to slide over both of them until it gets to the bottom. And then that should open up so you end up with a 6-sided shape that will stand up by itself. To give the cauldron stability, we have these two circles. The smaller circle goes in the bottom and the larger circle goes in the top. That's the opposite way round to a lot of my slot together designs, where normally it's the bigger one in the bottom, so just make sure you get them the right way around. This circle has got little cutouts or slits on the very edge that kind of go down inwards into that shape. Those are going to be slotted into the tiny little gaps on each of these sides. So you'll see when you're looking at it, it's a little hard to show on video, but that probably shows it quite well. You can see the little slit just in there where my finger is covering. That's where we're going to be putting this in. So put it in the middle and then carefully start sliding it in to those gaps. And the first couple will be a little tricky because we're getting all of these sides into the right position. So you might want to just do a couple or get some of them vaguely in place and then come back and finish it off. Be very careful you don't rip anything as you're going. And you'll find that the sides all want to come out of place until you've got them all in, and then it magically stays nice and secure. You need to do a lot of wiggling and jiggling to get this in place. And I'm not quite sure why that bit has gone all the way over there. That's where it should be. Make sure it's all nicely pushed down so it's held in by those little gaps. So that is now sturdy and held in there. That's what it looks like from the top and from the sides. So it should end up that the circle is flat along the top. Now we're going to do a similar thing with the top circle. This has got two slits either side, and these are more like hooks along the top. So what we're going to be doing is sliding them in and then pull them back so it goes into those little tiny hooks and holds it in place. If you made the slot together vases from the recent Floral Craft Countdown, then you'll be familiar with this. So I'll try and show you. So it's going to hook over, then we'll lift it up and then slide it into that hole so it goes over the slot in the back, and then that will hold it in place like that. So it's hooked over and then through. We'll do the same on all of them. It is a little narrow. Be careful not to tear your card, especially if you've used thin card. I've got quite a thick card for my structure, but then because I was cutting this using my scraps, I didn't have enough of the exact same card. So my circles are from a different shade. It's very close. I don't think it'll notice when it's finished, but I thought I could get away with it. But it means that these circles are a little bit too thin, really. Thicker card will give you a sturdier cauldron. I'm not quite sure why this bit doesn't want to go in. I haven't quite got some of them in. I can tell that because my top isn't quite level, so I'm just going to look and see which ones need a little bit more attention. Oh, they all look like they're in there okay. There we go. Alright, so next we can put the sides on, and I'm not sure if it'd be easier to glue the flames on before or after. Thinking, oops, that way around, probably before. So we'll do this first. And again, these kind of go the opposite way around to what you're probably used to on these slot together designs. Normally the kind of rounded bits go at the top, and I have this shape or a more sort of square shape at the bottom. But for this one, because of how the cauldron is, it's the other way around. So the kind of wider side will go through the top and the smaller side goes through the bottom. So I'll go through and glue all of my flames. Doesn't matter which one goes on which, they're all the same size. All of these bits, they're all the same. I'm going to line that up so it lines up with the edges. I'm going to try and keep my similar shaped flames together so that I can alternate the pattern when I put the sides in. So this is the one that's the same as that one. Just put them one on top of the other so I know that they're the same. And then do this one next. And that matches that one. Right, I'll leave those to dry a moment, and while it's doing that, we'll put together the handles. I've already done one. It's made up of 3 pieces of card, 3 little rings that are all slightly different sizes. You can see here we've got the different thicknesses. The thickest one will be the bottom, then the middle, then the thinnest. And these just get glued on top of each other. And then we'll choose 2 sides to glue these to. And it lines up in the middle, so there's an even border of that slightly larger shape all the way around. And the same with that one. Okay, and then I'm going to choose these 2 sides just randomly, although is there one that it will fit over the flame? Not really. I think I like how it looks most on this one. So it doesn't matter which 2 sides you choose, just any 2. And then I'll glue these on. Try and choose 2 that have the same flame pattern. Actually no, I don't want to choose 2 that have, do I? 1, 2, 3. Yes, I do. Then they'll be on opposite sides of the cauldron. Okay, so they'll have to go in last because they've got extra glue to dry. I was confusing myself with maths then. It's always a dangerous thing. Okay, let's get some of these others. So it doesn't matter which way round you put it in because they're all the same shape. I'm giving it a gentle bend, not a fold. I don't want to put any creases in the card, but it's just going to help get it into position a bit, especially if your card is thick. So we'll go through the top. We will go through the top. Come on. It's being very uncooperative. I have no idea why that's not going through. I'm going to try the next one. Oh dear. If I wasn't recording the video, it would have gone perfect. There we go, that one went in. I think it was just having a moment. And then bend it round, lift it in, and then go through the hole in the bottom circle from the top. There. And that's the first side done. Then I'm going to choose a different flame pattern. Here. Do the same on the next one. Up through the top. I think it's because I cut those circles from a different card that is really thin. So it's not liking that I'm trying to put a thick card through it. It should have all been from the same colour card, but I was just trying to be clever and use up some of my scraps. So that is entirely on me. When you do it, you'll have the same card for everything, so it will work fine. Yeah, pull it up. Go through the hole in the bottom, and then that holds it in place. And next I've got one of my ones with the handle on. Through the top, gentle bend, and then through the bottom. And that's the first 3 done. So now I'm going to pause my video. Oh, one of my hooks has come undone. So I'm going to fix that and then do the other sides, and then we'll see the finished cauldron. I've now put all the sides in, so my cauldron is finished. It looks really cute. Now don't worry if your circle bit on here isn't flat by the time you've finished. The weight of the card kind of pulls it downwards a little bit, so all the edges sort of start sloping inwards. But actually that works nice to make it look a little bit more like a realistic rim on the top of the cauldron. So you could display this on its own. You could add some lights inside. It won't show out the sides because there's nothing for it to come through, but you could get like a little eerie glow from the top, especially if you added in maybe green or purple lights. Or you could absolutely use this as a little treat holder, which is what I'm going to do. So as a little extra gift for trick-or-treaters, you can make them one of these, or maybe because, you know, it does take a little bit of time, you might just want to do it for your own children, or maybe some colleagues or someone special. I've got a little bag of party ring biscuits here. Hopefully they will fit. Just put them in the top. And there we go. A lovely little treat basket made from cardstock for Halloween. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a slot together cauldron for Halloween. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and Halloween fun. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 3 of the Halloween craft countdown. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!